guys got your cameras rolling, about ready? Yeah, Dean, you're good? Awesome. Coach, we'll start with a statement and we'll go right into questions.
Obviously, I'm excited. Excited to take this team on the road in the league, play against a really good South Carolina team in a great environment. We're gonna have to play really well, so we're challenged with that. But that's also what you sign up for. I think it's a great test. And this is a South Carolina team that, in all three phases, they're as good as anybody. Defensively, they're fast at all positions. They play really hard. They make it hard to find space. That starts with their edge play, but throughout the entire second and third level of their defense, these guys are fast and play hard. Offensively, obviously, they've got one of the premier players in our game, and he's got a lot of weapons around him. So, we're very familiar with that operation and how challenging he can be to a defense. The way he extends plays, the way he creates plays, what he does with the ball in his hand, and again, then he distributes it to some guys that are very capable themselves, and obviously special teams. And what do you say about Bakari Swain? He's had a great start to the season, but Coach Beamer's always taken great pride in special teams play, and we do too. So that's a phase that we want to win. But again, we're going to have to work really hard because it's very important to them, and it shows up in the way they execute that phase. So, again, this is a program that feels a lot like ours. That wanting to establish a physical run game. Dynamic play at the quarterback position. Want to play really good on defense, try to get the ball turned over, and have all three phases interlocked. We're going to have to be the best at executing that identity if we want to come away with a win. And, again, I believe in our team, and I'm excited to take this team to Columbia and to be tested. I think this is going to be a great week for us, and just looking forward to it.
What do you see out of LaNorris Sellers?
Well, there's, I think, everything you'd want to see in a quarterback. Not necessarily someone defending a quarterback, but he's big and physical and smart and makes good decisions with the ball and can create with his legs. He's got arm strength. He throws the big post in the Illinois game, just getting absolutely clobbered in the backfield, and I think he gets about half his follow through in, and again, he doesn't have any problem getting the ball there. So he's really talented in all the areas that you'd want a quarterback to be talented. And I don't know him. Obviously, I've competed against him, but everything I heard about him, he's a first-class human. And I don't know. Those are the guys you want to compete against. This is going to be a great opportunity for us. But I have a ton of respect for him and the way he plays the game.
Coach, how does playing in the environment last week in Blacksburg prepare you guys for another tough environment on Saturday night?
Saturday, it will be different, so you can't it's not a copy and paste. There's a different song. It has sand in it, but it's, we got to let go of Inner Sandman and move on to Sandstorm. Virginia Tech was a great experience for us. I think it challenged us in the right ways. I actually felt like we handled that well, too, so I was proud of the way we worked through that. And in fact, we fed the environment early, so we made it harder on ourselves than we needed to. South Carolina is as charged an environment, I feel like, as we have in our league. Playing there at night, it can... it feels like a party, and that, again, if we play well, we can help to water some of that down. If you don't, then it's going to be a party. And again, all of that, eventually the ball's put down and football's played. So what I talk to our team about is that environment is for us. That's what you want as a player. God, if you were playing during the pandemic and you were playing in empty stadiums, it was brutal. This is exactly what we want, and that crowd is there for you. And they're not necessarily going to make it easy on you, but we can we can enjoy that part of it, and not be stressed out about it. And we'll prepare the way we prepared for Virginia Tech with some noise, and as long as we're able to operate, we don't let the whatever 70,000 people get involved, or 80,000, whatever it is, get involved in the game. If we can't operate, obviously, then we give them license to participate, and that makes it extra hard. But I want the guys to have fun with it and enjoy it, and it'll be everything it's made out to be.
You mentioned the special teams. South Carolina's punt returner has 3 punt return touchdowns in 2 games. What's the challenge specifically of handling the punt coverage against a returner like that?
Well, he's very talented. He takes risks. He's not afraid to go get the ball, and in tough settings. One of his touchdowns came off a tipped punt that was bouncing around that he picked up and circled the coverage team. So he's got the courage that a good returner should have. He's got the skills a good returner should have. But also it's the way that they block for him. The design, they're a team that knows how to be aggressive and come after the punter some, and they also know how to double up on your best coverage players and try to create space for them. I think the more that we can sustain drives, and when we punt out of 4th and manageable situations, I think we're going to have opportunities to slow some of the rush down, or slow some of the vicing of gunners and stuff down. If not, if you get behind the chains, the one against Virginia Tech is a perfect example. There's a punt that is re-kicked because of penalty that went to a 4th and long, that then allowed for there to be a return setup that then gave them the space to make a huge play in that game. And when you watch that game, I mean, it comes down to really solid play defensively, creating turnovers. But it's a punt, return, and a post. That's what that game became. And that's that's how dangerous they are. It's again, it's every play is defensively, every play they're going to have the possibility of going up and over the top to a big and fast receiver. We've got to be very sound that way. Every time the ball goes in the air, when we punt, we have to be in position and cover with the right attitude, but also the right structure to neutralize him, to limit him. But he's a good player, and again, that's a part of what makes him so dynamic, and a part of what validates them as being a top team in the country, is just you got really strong performance in all 3 phases.
It seems like LaNorris, Sellers, and Kyron Jones are pretty similar types of quarterbacks. What defensive adjustments are you going to make between now and Saturday's game?
Everyone's a little different. The systems are different. I think Sellers has been a little more challenging when he's been on the move. I mean, there's just been, it seems like big play after big play when he's able to extend and find targets down the field. So they're obviously, you focus on the quarterback, but you also look at the system and how the system's built around the quarterback. Obviously, we expect to have to defend him in the run game, similar to what what we had to do against drones, where short yardage plays in the red zone, or just design formations. A lot of times it'll be empty backfields, or the running back will lead for him, where they're gonna try to get him going in the run game too. Those are things we'll have to prepare for, and hopefully, through our experience last weekend, tighten some of our systems down, because I wasn't thrilled with the way we functioned on 3rd and 1 to 3. But I think the best way to eliminate that, because again, that is very challenging, is to not get into 3rd and 1 to 3. So you're talking about how you play on 1st and 2nd down, and how you contest space, and how you change shells, all that kind of stuff. And That's the challenge. I think the point of emphasis that I've made to our team, and particularly our defense, is that this is a game that our defensive line needs to win. That's where we have to set a tone. And if we can't do that, you afford a really talented player time and space to make it hard on us. If you can win up front, you have a chance to erase some of those plays that become backbreakers as the game goes. And again, you look at last year. I mean, it's 7-0 at half. They take possession. You guys can correct me. I'll do my best on this, but there was a negative yardage play. It was I think 1st and long to 2nd and long, where we had him all but sacked. Corday was on him. He actually ducks out of the full body weight on him, and finds a player behind our half-field safety that ends up going for 50 or 60 yards. And that was just that's an example of how dynamic he can be. We have to finish at the point of attack. We have to crush the pocket. We have to understand where he escapes and how to vice him. In the open field, it can't be one-on-one. There needs to be an outside player, an inside player. We have to get the ball level. We cannot let him get to our sideline. Those are the things.
They lost a lot of really great players to the NFL, and yet I think they had like a top 15 transfer class coming in. What do you make of how they've been able to replace those guys?
Well, I think first of all, to their credit, I mean, they've developed players that are, it wasn't just NFL. I mean, those guys went early. I mean, there were a lot of really talented people, and then obviously, I think just like we're experiencing, we're maybe just behind them, but there's energy built around kind of what that program's becoming, and so they're able to go out and people want to play there. So they've done a great job with that, and again, that's a lot of what we're working on. I went back and I was in preparation for this morning. I was watching parts of our 2021 game, and you want to talk about two totally different teams and two totally different programs. I mean, it is amazing how much has changed since the first time that we played since I've been here. So it's a credit to them, but again, we feel like we've done the same, and so should be a really competitive game and a tough fight.
You've got some real stars, and we've asked your players about it, and they talked about how they kind of want to focus on themselves as they head into the game rather than the guys that they have. It seems like something that you've kind of trained into them. Why is that a valuable mindset in your mind?
Well, so much of I feel like so much of football, not even college football, is just like, do you control what you control? Do you actually channel yourself so you become a force of power on the field rather than something that's reacting? We want to dictate energy. The way you do that is you pay attention to yourself. And let me tell you, when they run the big post, when it's really effective is when you don't have a post player. You know what I mean? So if we're not in structure, if we're not communicating the right way, if we're not on top of the route, then it's going to be a touchdown. So let's make sure that we're controlling the things we control to make those plays hard. Same with the quarterback. I mean, we can talk what we want about him. He's one player. There are 11 on each side of the ball. If our 11 guys are doing their job, we're going to make it harder for him to find the space and find the plays. If we're not, then obviously he becomes better for that. So the attention, we talk about 4 opponents. The first opponent is us. That's the most important one. Once you get past us, it's the game. And just like last weekend in Virginia Tech, you can't chase emotions in the game. I mean, you can't. Y'all's job is to predict. Ours is not. If we get in the habit of predicting during the game, then if it's going well, we'll feel like it's won. If it's not going well, we'll feel like it's lost. And those feelings are powerful with respect to the actions they manifest in. So we're not predictors. We're not projectors. We're going to be in the moment, down by down, not chasing the emotions of the game. The third competitor is the environment. That'll be challenging, but that one is as challenging as you allow it to be. And we try to flip that in our minds and know that it's for us. Understand operationally how we need to to work, and we hope to again water that down as we go because we play well. How do we affect the environment? We focus on us. And the last one is the team you're playing against. And again, to me, that's less about making them out to be, anything other than just an opponent that runs these plays in these situations, and here's how we anticipate, here's how we get to our technique faster than them. Here are the ways that we're going to neutralize what makes them good. Here are the ways that we're going to emphasize the things that we feel like we have an advantage in. And all of that, all four of those, it always comes back to the first one. That is the only one that matters. Are we winning the battle with ourselves? Are we whole when we step on the field? Are we focused and energetic and spirited? And are we disciplined in the way we execute? If we do those things, and again, my belief is that we can play with and beat any team in the country. The challenge is doing those things, and it's hard for a 43-year-old to do that. I'm so impressed with we have 18 to 25 now or whatever it is. I don't want to leave out older parts of our roster, but these guys take it to heart, and part of what you're hearing in the message is the idea that they understand the significance of staying in the moment, staying within themselves, and doing their jobs with focus and execution.
You mentioned that the first half in Blacksburg felt elusive, that it was hard to grip, and that the team kind of fed into the environment. Why do you think that was, and what goes into that this week of trying to avoid that happening in Columbia?
When I said that, elusive, it sounds like something, yeah. What I'm saying is, I felt like every play, okay, you look at the first half, and I could be wrong. I think the opening drive was 15 plays that ended in a field goal. The end of half drive, I think, was 13 plays that ended in a field goal. Those are two huge drives. This is chasing the emotions of the game. When you play 28 plays in 2 drives, that doesn't always feel good, but you have to recognize the fact that we stood tall when we needed to, and we were able to force them to 3 points. So those are wins by the analytical measures, by the scoreboard, right? The 2 touchdowns they scored both came off turnover, right? So we had the interception that they had a long field, and they were able to find some chunks. One of those chunks was drones throwing across his body late down the field. I mean, you're not going to sustain offense that way. That's a great play, but that play can also become an interception. So it stings in the moment, but it's like, again, you just keep focus on, all right, how are we going to execute? How are we going to play our game? Eventually, it all evens out. So offensively, the 2 turnovers are those points of being elusive. If you're protecting the ball and you're scoring on those drives, obviously you feel different going into half at a 3-point game rather than a 10-point game. Defensively, it's those longer extended drives that felt like the 3rd and 1 to 3 conversions, them finding the soft spaces in the coverage and us having to rally and tackle. I mean, when you play that way, there's an aspect like a boxer. Those are like body punches, but again, it doesn't always feel right in the moment. So that's the elusive feeling. It's like we haven't made the play or made the stop or gotten the turnover that kind of tips momentum in our favor. We're chasing it a little bit. And that's where I feel like you have to stay really disciplined not to panic, But you think about a 20-10 score at halftime and those 2 field goal drives, the difference between 20-10 and 28-10. That is a totally different ball game. So so that kept us within striking distance to where we were 1 drive away. We were 1 stop away, and sure enough, we got the drive, we got the stop, and now we started to play our game. So how do we carry out? How do we not feed in the environment? Again, making good decisions with the ball is probably, step number 1, right? And not forcing it too. We didn't punt on last Saturday, and a punt's a good play. It's okay. I mean, we can punt, In fact, Nick's family's in town, and they came all the way from Australia, and they get to Virginia Tech, and they don't see their son play. So, but it's okay to punt. We have to make good decisions with the ball. We have to protect it when we're running it. That let's not create extra possessions for the opponent. That's one way, right? Capping explosive plays on defense. You know, I'm again forcing a college offense to execute over the course of a 70-snap game. I mean, you know, eventually we're going to bat the ball down. Eventually, they're gonna miss in the inch they needed to gain. Eventually, you know, we're going to break through and have a chance to a TFL. And at that point, you got a high leverage second down that can become a high leverage third down that can become a stop. And now again, you've started to grab that momentum. You've started to impact the environment. Those are the things we're looking to do. You know, protect the ball. You know, let's play a cleaner game, right? That's important. And let's try to put pressure on them rather than let them off the hook.
Last year, or in the offseason, there was a lot of talk about winning in November and adjusting to being able to do that. Last year, you guys played them in November. That was the first game you lost by more than a score. Was that an inflection point for you at all? How painful was that result?
Oh, it was really painful. Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about it. In fact, you know, I've used halftime what was our weight room, you know, that was our locker room last year. That halftime moment defined that stretch of games to me because I lost it going in because of I didn't hear the spirit and energy in the room, you know, and that's not because we don't have spirited and energetic players. I think I think this was the starting point of this idea that I've got to help this team sustain performance longer. Because in those moments, you cannot find it. You know, it's either there or it's not, you know, and it's a helpless feeling. But that was a learning moment for me, a learning moment for our team. We've referenced that moment a few times, not to make it about South Carolina, but just about the spirit and energy we need in this league to sustain and to win games in November. But, you know, I felt like it was very frustrating last year having a team, you know, play us at our home with an identity that mirrored ours, but to play better within that identity. I thought they were last year a more physical team. Again, they sustained their energy longer, and that hurt, and it hurt our players too. I mean, this isn't about me, you know. So we've referenced that feeling a few times as we've gone through winter, spring, summer, training camp, as kind of like what the next evolution of our program is never having that feeling. It's not that you're guaranteed results, you know, it's just the style of play, the identity, and kind of that hard-charging spirit that we want to define Vanderbilt football. Let's never let that not be a part of and who we are and what we do. And again, you got to give them credit in last year's game because they did a better job than we did.
Anything else for Coach?
What do you recall from the Bakari Swain recruitment? I believe he was a high priority target for you guys.
I mean, just that he was a high priority target, and we developed great relationships. And you know, I mean, he's a. I mean, look, you know, you recruit a bunch of people, and you only coach a select few of them, and so I enjoy, you know, watching him grow into success. And you know, he's kind of waited his turn. It feels like, and I'm happy for him and his family for him to experience the success he's having. I'm not interested in seeing it on Saturday, but I think he would understand that, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, he was a guy that we saw the potential, and obviously, you know, I think what he's doing is affirming what we saw.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.